Jai Shri Krishna Guru, very good evening. Thank you for joining Sai Satcharita Parayan. I hope you all had a wonderful day today. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Sai Satcharita, the life and teachings of Shirdi Sai Baba. Today we'll begin a new chapter, that is chapter 50. Detailed exposition of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, verse 34. My obeisance to Shri Ganesh, to Shri Saraswati and Shri Guru Maharaj, to the family deity, to Shri Sitaramachandra. My most humble obeisance, I bow in reverence to the most venerable Guru, Shri Sai Nath. There is no limit to the obligations of my mother and father who gave birth to me, as they have given me a human body. I was fortunate not to be born an intestinal roundworm. Nor was I born to cause pain to my mother's womb by being born blind, lame, squint-eyed, a stammerer, or even deaf and dumb, but was born with a healthy body. And by God's grace, I was born in that most excellent Brahmin Varna, at whose feet even the gods bow. Thus I am most fortunate indeed. When we are born, crores of times in every birth we have a father and a mother. But very rarely does one get parents who can prevent our birth-death cycle. He who gives birth is a father, but so is he who performs the sacred thread ceremony. And he who nurtures us by feeding, etc., is the third father, while the fourth is one who releases us from fear and difficulties. All these are equally important in this world, but there is no true father other than the compassionate Sadguru. Just see his marvelous Leela. So very true. Do you think I need to explain this? We have done enough of this importance of who is the Guru, the Father, the compassionate Father, the Sadguru, who is ever loving, who is always there to redeem you. He is only manifesting himself so that he can help you shore across the worldly life existence, the miserable worldly life's existence. So let us see what this chapter is all about. He is the father only in the biological sense, who by depositing the sperm in the mother's womb gives birth through the female genitals. But the Sadguru is a unique father, absolutely. This is such an important verse which you need to understand. You know what? We all believe that we owe it to this body's parents. On the contrary, the only thing that you owe to them is by you attaining your spiritual will so that they can get out of their material worldly miserable existence, so that you can redeem them, you can grant them liberation by you becoming liberated. In the sense, you are the God realization, 7 generation upwards and 7 generation downwards is redeemed. That is the highest good that you can do to the bodily parents. That is the duty you have towards them. But what do we think? Oh, we have to earn money and send to them. We have to do so many other things. Yeah, you have to do your duties, but in detached manner. But the highest spiritual meal that you can, give them, grant them, is that not by you becoming by you becoming a godly being, by you attaining God realization. But who is this unique father? The unique father whose grace is on your head is the Sadguru. But what do? You treat him like an ordinary human being from the roadside. That is what today's day and age, that is how people behave. They think they should not respect him. They don't have to consult him, they don't respect him, they don't do anything. Simply calling father doesn't make him father. You have to live those words. You have to walk, live, breathe, eat, sleep those words, not just mere lip service. Without even the tiniest particle of the sperm and without making use of the vagina, he gives birth to his son and bestows grace upon him, to that all-pervading, most compassionate Guru Raya, who releases us from the birth-death cycle, gives us the light of knowledge and explains the mysterious, profound truth of the Vedas. To him I bow in reverence, absolutely. But what do? You treat him he's like a roadside person, ordinary human being, least bothered, they don't even give respect. You know what? This father should suffer for all your worldly people, the bodily parents, mother, father, sister, brother, wife, husband, everybody he has to suffer. And at the end of the day, what does he get? Disrespect, insult. name calling, what not. That is what you do in today's day and age. Do you even have the goodness to respect from within? No. People just treat him however they feel like. I make obeisance to the Guru Varaya, who is the sun in the darkness of the worldly life, is most excellent among the self-realized saints, is the moon to the devotees who are the chakor birds, and is also our Kalpataru. The greatness of the Guru Raya is boundless, describing which speech sheds its pride. And it is better that lowering one's head at the Guru's feet, one holds one's silence like a mute. This is a very important mute button. Actually, my Krishna Guruji will teach me, you need to become silent. When is that I jump? And even today, after I finish the satsang, the one thing that he will say, why are you so angry? It's not about anger. I see, when I study these things, when this knowledge is coming, I feel extremely sad, and I feel very sorry, and I don't know what to say when I see how worldly people look at him. Forget about worldly people, his own disciples and devotees, the way they treat him, the way they misbehave. Mute button, they will jabber more in front of him. They will talk whatever comes to their mind. And then they will try to say how great they are and how correct they are in whatever they are saying. This happens to everybody. We all go through this process. It's not a joke. But you know what? Most important, you need to be able to overcome that and feel extremely sorry for your misdemeanors. My Krishna Guruji always forgives everybody's misdemeanors. But there is a limit to how much he can forgive. Yes, he forgives. Endlessly he forgives. But please understand one very important thing. There is somebody in this universe that is called as Mother Nature, Prakriti. She's watching. She's never going to forgive you. Where if you don't, from within, have that true feeling of sorry. People think saying sorry is a big deal. The word sorry doesn't come from a person's mouth. They will do the gravest of the sin and then think it is their father's right, it's their birthright to be that. I don't know who has taught them this. There is a limit to the adharma. It's a dog's tail which doesn't straighten out. You can live with your Guruji, you can live wherever you are, yet you will bring that gutter nature from where you are coming. And then you'll dirty the place of this temple also. That is who you are. Unless great penance has been performed in the previous birth, one does not get the darshan of a saint, which destroys the threefold afflictions. He who wants to make spiritual progress, attain moksha or achieve his own will, should surrender to a saint. He will not want anything at all. Who is there in today's day and age? In fact, this morning and this evening, my Krishna Guruji gave a very beautiful satsang, both in Bhagavad Gita and in Daspod. You must go listen. It is on Krishna knows, okay? And in that he's saying, see, when you come to Krishna, Lord Shri Krishna, what is that you want? He was describing the three different types of devotees and disciples that exist. The first one, the highest one, who's of the highest order. He's the one who anticipates and does things even before the words have been uttered from the Guruji's mouth. He anticipates, or even before the God has thought, he will anticipate and do that task. The second one is when the Guru instructs, he will exactly go and perform. And the third one is, even after the Guru saying, he's least bothered, or he will do exactly opposite of what your Guru says. These are the three orders or the types of disciple and devotees. The devotion also, which exist. So today, my Guruji was explaining about what kind of devotion that you need to have. You need to be able to anticipate and do things for your Gurudev. How can you do that? The only way you can do that is when you experience that oneness with him. When you give up your ego, when you surrender unto his lotus feet. You think what, knowing Lord Shri Krishna is such an easy thing? Krishna means what? Secretive. Unknown. Nobody can know him. Nobody is worthy to know him, by the way. Please. Don't even think. Even if I ask you who is my Krishna Guruji, they will say from their mouth, he's Lord Krishna. But have you even given him that respect of a father? Have you given him that position? No. You can go and take all the biggest of the decisions in your life, and then you'll say, oh, please come and save me now when you go into the gutters. Why should anybody save you? Nobody has to save you. First, learn to give that respect to him. He's the Lord Almighty, and yet people will treat him like an ordinary human being. This is the world we are into. Where is the question of highest devotee here? There's no highest devotee. And by the way, you can never know Krishna in any life of yours, please. Sai is the very image. No, I missed the verse. Blessed is the company of saints who can describe its great importance. It brings to the virtuous devotees, discriminative knowledge, renunciation and peace. First of all, you have to be a virtuous devotee. What does virtue mean? Virtue means you have acquired a lot of good qualities, and then you will attain discriminative knowledge, renunciation and peace. My Krishna Guruji will say, I don't expect anything from anybody. That's the only reason why I will not correct. And yesterday he was giving me a very profound lesson. You know what he said? Stop pointing out people's mistakes. Or sometimes, you know what, yeah, we all tend to do that. We think somebody is making mistake. He'll ask me, are you not making? Of course I make. I'm not saying, denying that I'm not making mistakes. We all have to go through a learning curve. But the point is that when you understand, learn to, give him that due respect. That is all my ask is. If somebody is misbehaving with my Krishna Guruji, when somebody calls him name, somebody does something, they will have to face my wrath. This is the truth. Because I do not like anybody disrespecting God Almighty. Because my Krishna Guruji wears himself out for every other being. He's not sitting here just like that for the heck of it. Please go to all the fake gurus. There are a lot of gurus in this world. You can go to them. We don't care about it. And here it is very important when you have the company of this guru, show that submissiveness, show that humility, show the true love. Don't just try to, demonstrate, oh, I am living with the guru means I can behave however you want. That applies to everybody. See, please understand, this is a very, very important lesson. And my Krishna Guruji was saying a very beautiful thing. He says, those who are in love with Lord Shri Krishna, they will always find another person as their enemy. Because everybody is loving that one object alone, that one entity. And everybody wants to be with him. Like everybody's trying to run a rat race, like my love is the highest. It's not about comparison. And this is something it has taken me a long time to understand. It is about how much deeper can you go in that love for the Lord. Lord Shri Krishna is an Athanga Sagar. He's a limitless ocean. And there's nothing to feel jealous about anybody. It is about, to each his own. How much can you go in that, deeper in that love for him? It's about doing everything that you can, the best for him. Because he has always done the best for you. So you have to strive hard to do everything the best for the Guruji in serving, in offering. A simple example, my Guruji was talking about Shabari, one of the devotees of Shri Ram. What she did, she was going and she knows Lord Rama is coming to meet her, and then Shri Ram is coming to meet her. So she was, picking those berries, the fruit. It was some sort of a berry. And, she used to taste. She first bites it and sees whether it is sweet or sour. If it is sour, she will throw that. And she collected those which is very sweet. She kept it for him. Lord Shri Ram accepted it with so much love. What is in that? It is not about she giving what she has tasted already, but it is her love. The reason she tasted is because she wanted to give the best to Lord Shri Ram. This is called the devotion. In whatever that you offer to the divine, give the best of the best, because the God Almighty always gives you the best. Sai is the very image of universal consciousness. From the unmanifest, he came to the manifest state. Who can, with certainty, describe that totally detached state of his? For the faithful devotees and loving listeners, he, the ever compassionate one, very affectionately narrates his own fascinating life story, which to them is like a holy temple. He whose hand, the moment it falls on the head, crushes the ego completely. The chanting of the mantra that I am begins in the mind, and there is joy everywhere. What does the Guru do to you? The Guru is destroying that ego. I, me, myself, I am the greatest. That pride, arrogance, you name it, that haughtiness. He destroys. He literally, tramples with his feet. In the sense, not in literal terms, it's the ego. And that's why he bends you backwards. He literally bends you to see how much you can take. Most important that you have to cultivate is being humble and show humility at all times. How can a mean, lowly creature like me, having the power to sing his glory. It is he himself who has very graciously brought out this poti. Out of love for the devotees, I prostrate in obeisance before the feet of that Sai and salute my listeners. I bow to the sadhus and saints and the virtuous. I lovingly embrace them all. Sai would talk about things casually, playfully, but they had perfect rules of ethical conduct implicit in them. He who was adorned with everlasting peace was meditated upon the most righteous and virtuous of men. He cannot be compared to the sun who sets in the evening, and if he be compared to the moon is subject to waning, whereas Sai is always whole. At his feet, Hemar bows humbly and lovingly entreats the listeners to listen to this story fondly, with faith and devotion, with full attention. The land has been properly plowed and the seed has been sown. But unless you, O gracious clouds, bring the rain, will the crop ever be produced? When the saints' stories fall on the ears, no sin can remain. But as you listen to these stories, merit is born. Reap, O reap, the benefit of this Parvani, plenitude. We do not have any keen desire for the four muktis like Salokya, etc. May our steadfast devotion to be to Sai. That is our highest gain. We are not in bondage at all. How then are we concerned with liberation? Let there be an awakening in the heart of devotion to the saints. That itself will purify the heart. We should develop that single-minded devotion and attain to Sahaj Sthiti or the natural state of perpetual consciousness without the stirring of the feeling of duality or the feeling of you and I as being separate. This is all that we ask of Sai. And so, this is the request to the listeners that they should see the oneness between the subject of reading, the act of reading, and the reader. When they take this volume in hand to read, absolutely, please understand the knowledge that is coming, the exposition that is coming, that is being said, this whole Leelas, everything is the will of the Divine Lord Almighty. He gets his Leelas written, he gets it narrated, and he himself gives the exposition. Nobody is capable of it. This body has no knowledge. Please understand, the knowledge is universal. It's the divine knowledge alone. This body is mere an instrument in the hands of the divine. Leave Hemad Pant out of consideration, for he is not the creator of this Satcharit. He is merely an instrument used for the benefit of the devotees. Those who abandon the oyster shell that they have luckily found lose also the pearl along with it. What have we to do with the origin of the people or the holy fig tree? That is, the tree of worldly life with its roots above and branches below. A man should never be indifferent to his own will. What does this simply mean? There is a very beautiful chapter in Bhagavad Gita about the tree of life, where the roots are, the branches and everything is downwards and the roots are upwards. It's mentioned here, right? With its roots above and the branches, everything is below. What does it mean? That talks about your worldly life. It talks about your attachment to the world, the family, the relatives, job, everything. And it keeps growing and growing and growing externally. And what you do, you keep granting yourself so many more rebirth, birth and death. The cycle of rebirths has always been there. It's granted. Why? Because you have entangled yourself in that. So how do you cut asunder? The only way to cut asunder is when you meet your Guru. Your Guru is the doorway to God. And when you walk the path of spirituality, that's the only way out. You know what, actually, I'm so tired going and narrating the same thing over and over and over and over again, a million and a billion times. Sometimes I ask my Krishna Guruji, how have you been doing the same thing for 20 plus years? Even when not a single person, that they say dog's tail that doesn't straighten out. His human nature is like the kutte ka dum. It's like a dog's tail which doesn't want to straighten out. How do you do this? Sometimes I feel terrible. I wouldn't even, nobody can envy your position. Nobody want to take your position. It's very painful. That's how I feel. Because you know what? Somebody is giving such profound lessons and we here want to live in our mind and dwell in that and get more entangled. Not just parents, then marriage, then children and so many things. Job, money, wealth, you name it. Everything is a misery. Even if you have a piece of gold, a piece of food, that everybody's hounding and pouncing on it. Why? Because they're all greed. It's about greed. They're running after the greed. And in Guru Charitra, Lord Dattatreya is very beautifully explained by one of his he has 24 principal gurus, and in that one bird, which has a piece of food in its beak, and everybody's following, they're all chasing because of the piece of food. And the moment it falls down, everybody stops chasing that bird. Our life is like that. We're driven by lust and greed, and yet we want to go and get entangled even more. It's horrible. The only way, the redemption is only with the grace of your Guru. Only a Guru can, cushion your prarabdha karma. But this body has to suffer. It has to go through that karma. Whatever it is, the prarabdha karma that you have born with, you have to expiate. That's the only way to, get over this karma. That whole thing you can break out. And how? By walking the path of spiritual. By becoming goodness. I was just sitting in the evening and, asking a simple stupid question. I said, I'm trying to overcome my mind. Some of the objects that disturb me the most. And I'm trying to bring that object in front of my eyes. The moment I see that object, I'm getting even more angry. So my Guruji explained in a very beautiful manner. He says, the only way you can, become peace, the way you can attain this harmony and peace is first by focusing in your world to going ahead. Just ignore all these objects, that which disturb you, that which doesn't disturb you. Don't even pay attention to that. And of course, when something disturbs you, you get even more agitated. Then what happens? The focus, instead of being on the mind and doing your job, you're lost in that object. Why do you want to grant yourself so many more, lives with that particular object? You don't want to. So he said, when you are focused in your work, when you're, busy, and when you learn, and when you go ahead and you want to do something for this entire universe, it is not just I, me, myself. We're all thinking about I, me, myself. It is not about I, me, myself. You have to think about the world. What does it mean? When you think about the world, one is you serve the divine. You're serving his purpose. Then you find harmony. When you're serving this world, you're serving this entire being within you. The entire God's rest within you. And what does it mean? You're doing service to them. When you do such selfless service, then your being also attains that harmony. And when you're in harmony with yourself, you're also in harmony with this entire world. So everybody has to work in that harmony alone, not in that, friction. And then you get agitated, angry. Then you're never with peace with you. And then you want to die a miserable death. With sickness and all sorts of things. But why can't you have that goodness within you? Fill your being with that love. Be in harmony with yourself and this entire world. And nothing will affect you that time. But that is not one, overnight job. So he said, what you're trying to do is not the way. But what you have to do is you have to practice it. You have to put more effort, extraordinary effort. That is what Lord Shri Krishna also said, right? You have to put extraordinary effort and deep sadhana. So you cannot forget the goal that you have born with. You cannot get carried away with some petty objects in your life. People, we get disturbed with every small thing. Somebody said this, somebody didn't say this, somebody did this. Oh my God, it's too much. Can you just focus on the world? Focus on bigger purpose in this world? Become the God. That is why we say we go to God because we believe He has answers. Why can't you, empower the God within you, and then you will have answers. Then you can help God to solve the world's problem. Why should only God, poor thing, work 24/7 and strive hard and always be waiting to solve everybody's problem? Can you not take some burden off the God? You should think like this. Here, there is no one but Sai to add the matra to the word. He alone is the subject of listening, the listener, and the process of listening too. Let not this oneness between the three be forgotten, or else it is not reading at all, where the ears are not respectfully alert and where the mind is not concentrated. Who will then take cognizance of the meaning of the words? Listening to these stories, there should be no conceit, and even the listeners should appear to the mind as Sai himself. Only then will that listening be worthwhile. Thus, keep a ceaseless awareness of non-duality. Only then will all the inclinations of the physical organs merge most certainly into Sai, and these tendencies will become one with him as the waves with the water on which they rise. Only then will the jnanis receive spiritual instruction, the humor loving, the joy and mirth born of humor, and the connoisseurs of poetry, the pleasure of metrical composition from this book. And so, earlier in this Satcharita, in the 39th chapter, the instruction that Shri Sai Samarth imparted imparted to one of his excellent devotees, while that devotee was at that time reciting from the beginning the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita to Baba, was narrated. On the one hand, he was pressing Baba's feet and murmuring softly. On the other, as the 33rd stanza ended, he began reciting the 34th. He was muttering it to himself with a mind fully concentrated and completely absorbed. But since what he was muttering was inaudible, others did not know the source book of the recitation. As he began the 34th stanza, Baba felt in his heart that he should bestow grace on this excellent devotee and show him the right path. The name of the devotee was Nana. So Baba said to him, Nana, what is it that you are muttering to yourself? Why do you not say it distinctly? For so long have I been watching that some muttering is going on, but the sound of words does not come out distinctly. What is this secret? Nana then said very clearly, I am reciting the Gita, and so as not to be a nuisance to others, I am muttering it softly. All right, this is for the people, but speak distinctly, at least for me. Let me see if you have yourself understood properly what you are reciting, said Shri. Bowing in obeisance first, Nana then recited loud and clear the stanza beginning, learn that by humble reverence, etc. On hearing it, Baba was satisfied. Then, when asked the meaning of the stanza, Nana narrated in detail the significance as given by the earlier commentators, to which also Baba nodded his head in approval. Again, he asked Nana the question, Nana, just look at this third line. The masters of knowledge will instruct thee in that wisdom and reflect upon it. Just consider if by adding an elision mark before the word jnana and taking it as ajnana, if the meaning is reversed, the exposition that commentators like Shankaranand, Jnaneshwar, Anandgiri, Sridhar, Madhusudan and others give pertaining to the word jnana, and which is acceptable to all, is also known to me. But why unnecessarily miss the marvel arising out of the addition of that elision mark? So saying, the particles of nectar-sweet instruction which Sai, the cloud of compassion, showered for the Chakor and Chatak birds or his devotees have already been related earlier in chapter 39. I have also explained this. You can go listen. I'm not going to go deeper into it again. But it is surprising that not all the readers of the Sai Leela magazine appreciated that meaning, and some remained doubtful. Hence, I shall make yet another small attempt to justify with some proof the word Ajnana in order to satisfy them. Some may even doubt as to how Baba could have had any knowledge of Sanskrit, but know that to the saints nothing is unknown, and the real reason for their doubt must lie elsewhere. O listeners, who does not accept the words of the Shruti that having known the one, all else is known? Sai Baba had the same direct, intuitive knowledge of all things. Saints who see the whole universe like a myrobalan on the palm of their hand, and because of whom the sun shines, what do they not know? They who have this knowledge, how can ignorance remain with them? They are in possession of all the vidyas. Of what consequence then is Sanskrit? Absolutely. So see, the gurus are knowledge incarnate. They know everything. They are called Sachidanand, Sat, Chit, Anand, truth, knowledge and bliss. So what makes us think that they don't know? Just because they have not studied Bhagavad Gita, they don't even need to. The moment the scripture is opened, the words will flow from their mouth. They are the knowledge incarnate. And why should anybody have doubt You think you're some great jnani, is it? Or you're the God Almighty that you know something that you have to doubt the master? Always take every word from the Guru's mouth is the gospel truth. And no matter what it is, even in jest, even in joke, even in anger, everything the Guru imparts the truth alone. There is no fun. People just think that Guruji is, making fun. He's cracking jokes. But what you idiot doesn't understand is even the joke is, has some profound knowledge. This is what your mind needs to know. Your stupid mind has its own self-conceit and deceit by which it judges the great master. So please don't do that. Even in the fun that he's making, there is a very profound truth. So you need to be able to understand. It might be very stupid to your mind, but it is not. Please go and listen to his conversations and you'll get so much knowledge. So never discount. Even if he's talking in jest, that is gospel truth alone. They who have this knowledge, how can ignorance remain with them? They are in possession of all the vidyas. Of what consequence then is Sanskrit? However, some readers of the Sai Leela say Nana is unreliable and the addition of the elision mark, which is unnecessary and indicative of ignorance, is all a figment of his own imagination. He has himself made up this fabrication of the chapter of Ajnana with the elision mark to raise a meaningless controversy to parade his own knowledge all the time. Inserting an unwanted elision mark, he has put Ajnana in the place of Jnana and has given a contrary interpretation of the Gita. But if you consider the facts and think carefully in your mind, you will find no inconsistency in the story in the 39th chapter given in Sai Leela. Whoever may have whatever notions about Nana being honest or unreliable, we should not regard his narrative as futile, meaningless babble. Leaving their aversion for Nana aside and without being carried away by their own emotions, if the readers will remove the defects of their views, they will see everything in the proper perspective. So who's wearing a pink color glasses? It's you. You are an ignorant being and you are trying to judge somebody else, please. It will not be possible to progress easily and smoothly through this chapter without first reading that most excellent 39th chapter in Sai Leela magazine. In the 34th stanza of the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita called Jnana Yajna, which came out from the mouth of Shri Krishna, appeared this discourse on the subject of Ajnana. Learn that by humble reverence, by inquiry, persistent search for the reality, by piercing through illusions, and by service, the masters of knowledge. Service is what? When you with service, humble service unto the lotus feet of the Gurus, who are the knowledge incarnate, who are the manifest of the very essence of the Parabrahma themselves, who have come to explain who God is. Only God can describe you who God is, nobody else. You think what, this Bhagavad Gita is taught by somebody else, and today it's become an interesting fad. So Bhagavad Gita is used to, give an explanation of the management lessons, and anybody and everybody thinks they can give Bhagavad Gita teaching. I didn't know this. The only qualified teacher or a guru has to be, the guru has to instruct his disciple or his Gurudev must have instructed him saying, go and teach. When you are being given that ordain, only then you are eligible and capable of explaining, not otherwise. And please understand, the Brahmanyana can only be given by the Brahman himself, not anybody else. So only Lord Shri Krishna can explain what Bhagavad Gita is all about, not any ordinary human being. So my Guruji, my Krishna, Guruji is in essence of Lord Shri Krishna himself. And he's the only one who can explain the codices, because it is secretive. The Vedas or Shastras or any text cannot be explained by any other human being. Please understand. Even the Gurus, because they are not, again, I'm talking about the real masters, not the other kind of Gurus in this material world who exist. They are not qualified to teach. Only the true Guru can give you this knowledge. And the direct experience of the Brahman, nobody else can. Not just the direct experience of the Brahman, but the experience of the verse that he teaches. Every word that he teaches, you will get a direct experience of that lesson. Knowledge imparted to you. And nobody else can give you. Go try and test it out. When you listen to my Krishna Guruji's satsang, let me tell you, you will get that experience, and I will vouch for this. It is a universally accepted aphorism of the Shruti that moksha is attained only by knowledge. Yet it does not necessarily follow that it is subject of instruction by masters of knowledge. I, the Atman, am just the eternal Sakshi, witness. I am unblemished and pure, omniscient and ever free. I am the pure consciousness present in all the creatures. Being unwavering and secure, I am filled with the joy of oneness or non-duality. Okay, this is a very profound lesson. This itself actually describes who this is, which means you cannot describe him. As simple as that. And you know, what can I explain to you? I actually get very tired because this is something you can't explain. No words can describe this knowledge. And this is what is very weird, and people don't understand it. None of these words can be ever, you cannot describe it. You can't describe what Parabrahma means. You have to experience, you have to go on that path, you have to go and unravel yourself. Nobody can unravel it for you. I can, spout all the Vedas from my mouth. The words can flow beautifully. I can describe all that. But till you don't experience, you will not even understand a word of this. I, the Atman, am just the eternal witness. What does it mean? It's only a witness. You can't describe it with words. It's not like something you'll say, oh, it looks like it's wearing a yellow dress, it's wearing one bindi, it's like this, and it is sweet, sour. No, it's just a witness. It's just witnessing everything. The Atman is only a witness. And can you go catch it? No, you can't. Am unblemished. Unblemished means it's pure. You can't, there's nothing that can blemish it. There's no like any black mark on that. That's what unblemished. It's pure, absolute pure and pure. Omniscient and ever free. It's omniscient. It's everywhere. It's omnipresent. It's omniscient and omnipotent and ever free. It's free. It's just there. I am the pure consciousness present in all creatures. But being unwavering and secure, I am filled with the joy of oneness or non-duality. But I am not Ajnana, nor is the work of Ajnana mine. No, Ajnana is what? Ignorance. Know that I am the Atman in the Mahavakya of Atharva Veda, which says this Atman is Brahman, and I am also the repository of Mahavakya of Rig Veda, that absolute knowledge itself is bliss. Very true. But how do you understand what is this absolute knowledge itself is bliss? That is why I keep saying it is self-realization. You have to realize it yourself. And how do you realize it yourself? Only by walking the path of spiritual. See, I'm not going to go deeper in this because otherwise we'll get stuck. And I've given a very interesting explanation in many of the previous chapters. Go into the same chapter and understand it. You will know. If I go all over, this is a very dry subject. I believe in love and devotion. The only thing is you have to attain love and devotion. Let's not go into this gymnastics of mind, trying to be a jnani and trying to decipher knowledge, trying to decipher God and understanding. Just forget all that. Look, my Guruji will say, the Lord is in the palm of your hand. How do you attain Him? Very simple. With loving devotion to the Hari and Guru. The lotus feet of the Hari Guru is the only way. You know why? The Lord Hari is the Guru. So where is that you are not in oneness with the Brahman? The Brahman is on the palm of your hand, and you can just realize Him like that. But what is the criteria? Absolute faith, complete surrender, unconditional pure love, and exclusive devotion. That's all you need to have. And be humble, have humility, be subservient, be submissive, and give up your ego, I, me, myself. Give up all that. I'm telling you, it's so easy to attain. It's very simple. We don't have to do so much of gymnastics. Trust me, I get tired. Know that a constant awareness of the Mahavakya of Yajurveda, that I am Brahman, is itself pure Vidya or knowledge. While the generation of the feeling that I am a sinner, unfortunate and luckless, is avidya or ignorance. Absolutely true. Both these are ancient, beginningless powers of Maya. One avidya leads a creature to bondage, while the other vidya to liberation from bondage. Very true. Again, what is avidya? Ignorance. What is vidya? Knowledge. The knowledge, with the sword of knowledge, you have to cut asunder the ignorance. All this illusion of name, form, etc. is but the confusion of bewilderment caused by Maya, and even more difficult to cross. Every stirring of imagination is the abode of Maya, and the ideas of bondage and liberation are born, most certainly from the imagination. The aphorism of the Shruti that moksha is attained only by knowledge is undoubtedly true. But unless the sinful karma is destroyed, the realization of knowledge is impossible. Know that he who has imbibed pure knowledge will be abandoned by desires, resolutions, etc. He has no bondage of Maya and has no place for passions and emotions. Even a great jnani like Sukadev had to suffer harm because of his suspicions. From suspicion originated ignorance, which cannot be removed except by the Guru. So who is the one who removes this ignorance? Only the Guru. That is why we say Guru. Guru means remover of darkness or ignorance, or illumine. He illumines with the knowledge. Illuminator of knowledge. Can you believe how beautiful and profound is the word Guru? When suspicion and doubt enter jnana, even the jnani becomes conceited as milk in a vessel, curdled by even a drop of sour gruel, which spoils the whole milk. Absolutely. Just one drop of, that if you take milk and put one drop of lemon in it, the milk will get spoiled. Likewise, he's saying, just a doubt, one doubt. That's why my Krishna Guruji will say, you're that, bottle of Ganga water. But what happens? That one doubt, it's like a potassium cyanide. Then the whole water becomes poison. He who thinks all the time of wealth and prosperity is insatiated with enjoyment of sensual pleasures and dwells constantly on his wife and children. The jnana of such a one is nothing but ignorance, absolutely. No matter you can think, you have all the worldly things, your family, your wife, your children, and then where is the question of your knowledge and devotion to the Guru? Nothing exists here. That's exactly what says. The moment you get entangled in the material worldly bondage, this is not going to come to you. When such is the infatuation with wealth, sons, wife, etc., though he be a jnani, he does not know his own good. Hence, so long as he is without devotion, his jnana is covered up with ignorance. The only path is love and devotion. Loving faith, loving devotion unto the lotus feet of your Hari Guru is all that you need to have. Nothing else. All this gymnastic is not required. This whole multitude of living beings is full of ignorance. To be liberated from this ignorance and become jnani and go beyond jnana is most certainly to be one with Brahman. When ignorance is removed, jnana appears. He who can readily forgive is a jnani. He who can readily forgive is a jnani. But so long as the ego is not checked, he is under the power of Maya. This is a very beautiful lesson. My Krishna Guruji will say, who is God? God is the one who can forgive. Only God can forgive. And I see that. For me, it takes time it takes time for me to forgive. Yes, I do forgive, but it takes time. But my Krishna Guruji endlessly will forgive everybody for the misdemeanor n number of times. That is why he's God. He's God Almighty. Only Jesus Christ could forgive. That's why he said when he was crucified on the cross, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are committing. They are ignorant being. Such is the greatness of God. To forgive is godliness. This Maya, who bewitched all the others, but was but a slave to the command of incarnations like Shri Ram, Shri Krishna, etc., and the great jnanis like Sanat, etc. Although God dwells in the heart of all the creatures, nobody is aware of this, their own state. Such is the inconceivable and great power of illusion of this Maya. Hence, without giving up the false ego that I am the doer of action, I alone am the enjoyer, and without surrendering to Him who dwells within, we cannot be liberated. Discriminate between the eternal and the transient, listen, reflect, and contemplate deeply on it, and attain the 6 sadhanas or means like Shama, Dhamma, etc. Only then will ignorance be destroyed. It is a long drawn process. Spirituality is not overnight. It's not so easy to overcome your vrittis. Yesterday my Krishna Guruji was saying, some of the things what you're going through are your vrittis. So these vrittis have to be overcome. How? By self-effort, by devotion, by service unto the lotus feet of the Guru, and he works with you. He works to purify, but you have to put your effort to overcome your tendencies. The world is separate from me. When I am limited, differentiated, the awareness that This body itself is me. This is ignorance, pure and unalloyed. In the Vedanta Shastras, which propounds jnana, the most compassionate commentators have described in detail the Anubandhu Chatushtya. I don't know what that means. 3 of them are, you can later go and look it up. They have the reference. 3 of them are Adhikari, Vishaya and Sambandha, and the 4th, Anubandha, is the Prayojan. The oneness between the being and the Brahman is the main subject of this Vedanta. And the removal of ignorance about this proposition of oneness is the Prayojan or the object, absolutely. So, the oneness between being and Brahman. Being and Brahman, that my being, we say my being. You know, when we say human being, so what does it mean? Human. You know, sometimes I feel like I am not this man, you know, I'm not this man, I'm not the body, the being. So I need to experience the oneness between my being and the Brahman. It says, see, in Brahman, it says Brahman. So which means the Brahman is a divine. The human is a manifest of the Brahman. So you have to realize that I am not this human, but I am the Brahman. My being has to realize that oneness with the Brahman. The dispelling of this basic ignorance is in itself the realization of the true self. Hence, by some ingenious device or other, it is necessary to destroy ignorance. So long as the idea of separateness between them is not removed, no one can be called a jnani. The jnana of the egoist can only be called total ignorance. Himself he parades as a jnani, but his conduct is improper, his awareness is accursed. He is as soundly asleep as Kumbhakarna. Today my Krishna Guruji was talking about Ramayana, and in that he was mentioning, who is Kumbhakarna? He's tamas, his inertia is the tarji. He who does not act in conformation with the Vedas, nor observes the rules of Varna and Ashram. For such a one, the only means of purifying his heart is the removal of ignorance or avidya. Even Brahmadev and others have been cheated by the 3 gunas like Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, by different passions of sense objects like word, etc., by the reproductive organs and the tongue. Oh my God. Yeah, this is so true. The reason why we are all, just entangled in this, because we are operating in the 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. And today, forget, Sattva is gone out of the window. We are predominantly operating in very 10% of Rajas and 100% of Tamas. Sorry, 90% of Tamas. So, what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to go towards the path of Sattva. We have to become Sattvic in nature. That is what my Krishna Guruji teaches. How do you become Sattvic? By being good. Be your good self. You know how tired I get sometimes? He'll say, you keep teaching this. Sometimes you forget this. You know one thing that comes to me? Anger. Yesterday he was doing an analysis. And in that he said, what is the 2 negative points in you? He said, one is anger and second is you have a loose tongue. So we all have certain tendencies. So we have to overcome them. So what am I learning in spiritual? How to overcome this anger? How to control anger? Number 2, how to silence my mind and my mouth. You have to only speak when required, not otherwise. And only when God-given talent of this speech has to be used in singing the praises and glories of the divine. The same anger has to be used for doing good in this world. That is what is teaching. That is what it means about going towards the path of Sattva. Anger is not just to, fight with somebody or do something bad. No. Anger is because the reason of anger comes, this is for everyone, We all have certain unfulfilled desires. Sometimes, what could be a simple desire? In my case, there was a time when I didn't get something. So I was like, I didn't get this object. So that is an unfulfilled desire. And sometimes, if somebody is not meeting that expectation, that, somebody has to respect my Guruji in a certain way. So that's a desire too. Or that's an expectation too. So when you have that and it doesn't get fulfilled, then the anger comes. So every small thing, it's either it could be a petty thing or it could be a big thing. But at the end of the day, they are all unfulfilled desires. They are all your desires and expectations. So why do you need to have that? That is what my Krishna Guruji teaches. Just surrender. Just surrender everything unto the lotus feet of the Guru and Lord Shri Krishna. Don't have any desire. Let His will be, what you have to just do. His will work magic. So when you surrendered everything unto His feet, whatever that He bestows will be the most beautiful thing. And then you're not going to have any expectation, wants, desires from anybody nor yourself. But what you need to have for yourself is you have to strive harder to always be on the path of sattva and dharma and do your swadharma. He who does not act in conformation, we finish this. All the animate beings in the world are enveloped by the beginningless avidya and maya, attracted by anger, envy and other passions. These are all engulfed by ignorance. What is the first thing? Anger, envy and other passions. These are all engulfed by ignorance. The moment, these are all the 6 doorways to hell. Anger, lust, greed, envy, avarice, you name it, everything. The moment you have to whatever degree, please know that someday you're going to go into the gutter. So you have to put lot of effort to not to get into this. And this is the cause of your ignorance and miserable life that you live. The being is bound by ignorance. He must sever all connection with the bonds of ignorance, desire and karma for the pure self to manifest. What is it called? Only when you overcome all of this, the self will reveal itself to you and then you will experience. Then none of these things will ever affect you. Then you will always be in that pure blissful state alone. Today there's a very beautiful update, and I'm sure there's also a teaching which Lord Shri Krishna has given in Bhagavad Gita. This material worldly life is so painful, but yet for that little happiness, the momentary happiness, we enjoy that pain throughout our life. For the little happiness, momentary happiness. Please understand, no job you're going to be happy. No matter you marry the most beautiful woman on this planet Earth, you're still going to end up, if they'll say, there's a saying, 90 days is the honeymoon period. After that, please mark my words, your life is going to be hell for the rest of your life. Okay, that is marriage. And then what happens? And you're going to be stuck and bound to eternity. But in spiritual, the process is very painful. You're going to feel the pain throughout the journey. But at the end, when you reach there, it is this blissful state. It's the most beautiful, it's the sweetest thing that you can ever get. And that is to eternity. And you have redeemed yourself from all these material worldly miseries. That is what you have conquered. But that is what is the spiritual truth. And this is an update which my Krishna Guruji today has put up on his Facebook status, and same thing which Lord Shri Krishna also has explained in Bhagavad Gita. What seems painful in the beginning is nectar sweet at the end. And what you think, that little nectar sweet in the beginning is a miserable, it's a painful till your end of your life. Till you die, it will not leave you. Leeches cling tightly to the teats, which are swollen and oozing with milk, but the real fondness is for the impure blood. What do they care for the milk? Look at the frog and the black bee. The beautiful lotus is the abode of both, but the bee flits amid the fragrant pollen while the frog feasts on the mire. In front of him, he sees a store of knowledge, yet the fool is drawn towards ignorance. Oh wow, it's talking about this 99.99% of this world. What is he saying? In front of him, he sees a store of knowledge. Here there is a Guruji sitting, the God Almighty sitting, come, I am going to redeem you, I will give you the spiritual way. Yet the fool like you is drawn towards ignorance. Yeah, you're going to go fall for the ditch of the lust and the greed. Go fall. To the fool, ignorance itself appears as knowledge. What will an elaborate discourse on jnana be to him? When ignorance is eradicated, Brahmanyana will appear on its own. Hence, know that it is necessary to establish first what ignorance is. Nothing is as sacred as Brahmanyana in all the in all the 3 worlds, and it is true, the instruction in it that the greatest importance attaches without attaches. Without it, life is futile. There is no use of life if you cannot attain your spiritual meal. When God has given you an opportunity, why are you going and falling in a gutter? Had Brahman been the object of intellectual exercise, at least one of the various organs would have indicated or proved its existence. Though the Smriti proclaims that this principle of Brahman, though beyond the comprehension of the organs, is comprehensible to the intellect, yet it is not acceptable to the Shruti. Wow, you know what, today's subject is too dry. I rather enjoy the devotion and love aspect. This is a dry knowledge, but I'm still making an effort to as much as put it in words. But again, I'm not the Brahman. Only Brahman can describe this. So I'm only just giving you a little dot, 0.1%. That's all. And that also you can't understand. You have to experience, and this is a dry knowledge. Let's only have love and devotion. We don't need to do this gymnastics. We don't need to understand what Smriti proclaims, what is the principle of Brahman, that and all. Why do we need? We just need to have loving faith, devotion unto the lotus feet of Hari Guru. If intellect, etc. cease to exist, then the very object of comprehending also ceases, and there remains no room for accepting the existence of Brahman. It is well known everywhere that whatever can be known by the organs exists. But if it be so, then Brahman should never exist at all. Such will be the interpretation, but this is meaningless. According to the traditional interpretation, based on profound, careful thought, the intellect also has a perpetual, ceaseless existence. It may disappear, but even there, it is present by the experience of its existence. The Atman is undoubtedly the origin of the universe. Hence, even when anything appears to be extinct, its existence always continues. When a stone is thrown at an earthen jar, the shape is destroyed, leaving only the pieces. Though the shape of the jar disappears, the pieces indicate the existence of the jar. Though the purpose of the jar is destroyed, there is no end to the existence of the jar. The pieces of the jar are the evidence of its existence, and the essence of the existence of its purpose remains in them. The end of any work is never in a void. Its end always implies its existence, and its proof is that good conscience is implicit in the experience of truth. So let me tell you, I'm just going to explain in simple words. This is all too complex, okay? They're trying to give an aphorism and how you can understand, or just a reference or something. They're pointing out how does Atman is there. Even if you break the jar is broken into pieces. What does it mean? This body will go back into elements, but Atman is always there. Its existence is felt. But how do you experience? Not with your mind, body, senses, ego, organ, anything. You have to go beyond. That is why it's said you have to transcend beyond the mind, body, senses, the ego, the three gunas to experience it. And when you experience, you cannot describe the Atman in words. You cannot. You just can experience its existence. That is all you can do. The end of any work is never in a void. Yes, there's no end of anything in a void. It always ends. The end always implies its existence. And its proof is that good conscience is implicit in the experience of the truth. So when you experience the truth, then you know that you're to eternity. So you're not just there. Your existence is to the eternity. This is the truth that you will experience. And you know, this is just a jar. This is just a body. This is a bottle or a garment that you have donned. And you have to leave it and go away. So, places of pilgrimage, religious vows are all sacred. But the holiest of holy is jnana, bhajan, puja, etc. are meaningless without Brahma jnana. The mind is polluted by ignorance, but the cleansing of that mind is not possible without devotion of God. Without devotion, jnana does not sprout. Hence, first recognize ignorance, clearly understand its nature and description so that release can be obtained from its bondage. Devotion alone is the means of knowing this. Let me tell you, don't even bother about jnana. Just have loving devotion with absolute faith, complete surrender unto the lotus feet of the Hari Guru. That is the highest that you can attain. And don't bother about this jnana and gymnastics, and we don't even know. And that's why Lord Shri Krishna says, when you attain devotion to me, I bestow upon him the knowledge and every other thing. He also gets knowledge, he is also doing his karma, he attains me. That is what it is. So don't bother, don't go after knowledge, don't try to decipher God. Just have that love and devotion. We are at the end of the hour. With that, I will stop here at verse 1116. We'll continue tomorrow from verse 1117. And tomorrow I will see you in the morning from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. Thank you for joining Sai Satcharita Parayan. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha. Om Shri Gurudev Tatta. Om Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Digambara Digambara Shripad Vallabha Digambara. Om Shri Krishna Gurunath Natha Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Devi Durgaya Namaha. Om Shri Krishna Arpanam Namastu. Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru.